Nvidia stock investors would probably argue that Nvidia is the most important company in the world. But what if I told you that in a recent conference, Nvidia's CEO pretty much confirmed these claims? More specifically, he mentioned how the demand for his chips are creating very emotional customers. What's crazy is, in my mind, I'm imagining some big tech CEOs crying and begging for more Nvidia chips. Let me know in the comments below if you had to guess one tech CEO that is very emotional, who would it be? Look in the pinned comment for my guess, but also before I get emotional and start crying, please make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. All jokes aside, in today's episode, we'll cover the following. Before we get into these emotional talks, there are 3 quick topics that Nvidia investors should know. First, TSMC just recently announced their monthly revenue numbers, which is very important for the semiconductor space. Second, Nvidia and Oracle just announced the largest AI cluster that I've heard about, and I think it's pretty insane. Number 3, we're going to hear some talks about some bearish rumors impacting Blackwell. While I believe this is a nothing burger, I do want to kind of bring it up to the viewers. Number 4, we'll look at that emotional talk. And finally, we'll end with my final thoughts on these developments. So let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first we're going to start off with TSMC's monthly revenue numbers. A quick overview of TSMC for those that are not familiar. This is the largest manufacturer of chips in the world. They manufacture everything from Nvidia's chips to AMD's chips, and the list goes on and on. This company, luckily for us, kind of tells us their monthly revenue numbers so we can kind of see how the market is doing. Right now, I do have this kind of graph open, and we can see that revenue for January through August of 2024 is up over 30% compared to the same time in 2023. So we still have 4 months to go, but this year seems to be a record-breaking year for TSMC's revenue, which means that demand for chips in general is pretty strong. So this is obviously bullish for the semiconductor space, as it means that we're probably seeing huge demand for AI, for chips for computers, chips for phones, and obviously AI chips from Nvidia. So 2022 was the peak, and I believe 2024 is going to be much higher than that. And maybe we continue into 2025 as well. But right now, we are kind of getting a nice green flag from TSMC. Now, some other TSMC news that I want to talk about is there are reports that TSMC is expecting its first high-NA EUV lithography machine from ASML this month. For those that are not familiar, ASML designs these kind of machines that are needed to manufacture the best chips out there. And this high-NA EUV is the most advanced. Overall, we can see that TSMC is investing a lot into the future of semiconductor products. Now, enough talking about TSMC. The rest of the news are going to be covering Nvidia. So Nvidia today on September 11th did announce this kind of pretty cool press release with Oracle. And Oracle right now is hosting kind of this big conference event where they're showcasing all these cool products. Well, at the Oracle Cloud World conference today, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure announced the first Zeta-scale OCI supercluster accelerated by Nvidia's Blackwell platform to help enterprises train and deploy next-generation AI models using more than 100,000 Blackwell platforms. More specifically, this one can scale up to 131,072 Blackwell GPUs, being the largest supercluster in the world. And later on, we're going to see a little bit more information about this. Now, Oracle kind of gave us a little bit more information about this as well. They did mention that OCI is now taking orders for the largest AI supercomputer in the cloud available with that crazy number that I just mentioned. OCI superclusters are orderable with OCI compute powered by either NVIDIA's H100, H200, or the upcoming Blackwell GPUs. The H100s can scale up to 16,384, the H200 can scale up to 65,000, and we can see the Blackwell GPUs will be that 131,000 system. Now, Oracle also wanted to kind of flex against the other clouding solutions, AWS, Microsoft, and Google, and kind of showcase that this is the best company if you're looking for any form of AI supercomputer. In their OCI supercluster, register, they have the H200, which is over 65,000 H200. No other system right now has anything like that. The H100, we can see that they have some comparable numbers, and they're gonna have one for the Nvidia B200, but also more importantly, they're gonna have one for the Nvidia Grace Blackwell 200, which is gonna be much bigger than AWS Super AI chip that they are building. So pretty cool for Oracle, and they are really investing hard in this AI market. And I'm pretty happy that we talked about Oracle many months ago at the beginning of this year, right? Oracle was named my top 3 AI company for this year. Nvidia number 1, Oracle number 2, and CrowdStrike number 3. Now, the third topic I want to take a closer look at is that bearish news that I mentioned, and I believe this is going to be more of a nothing burger, but it's still something that investors should know. According to a report from the Register, there is a developer of a DPU component that is filing a lawsuit accusing AI chip giants, Nvidia, Microsoft, and other players that it's kind of avoiding paying fees and violating some form of antitrust laws. The report states that in addition to seeking monetary compensation, this company is also requesting an injunction, and if granted, Nvidia is going to be halted from selling their Blackwell GPU. Again, I believe this is a nothing burger and nothing's going to really come out of it, but it's something to really kind of just keep a closer eye on. Regarding the lawsuit, the judge overseeing the case has approved a preliminary injunction hearing to be held on September 19th. So if we do get any updates here, I'll definitely be the first to post it. But again, I personally believe is a nothing burger. Now, the final thing we're going to take a closer look at in today's episode is a conference that happened today. So Goldman Sachs, and for those that are not familiar, big banks usually have conferences all around the year, usually between earnings season. So now that earnings season is done, they kind of meet up with a lot of companies and ask questions. And you can find the transcripts online. Well, Goldman Sachs today had Nvidia in their Goldman Sachs Communication Tech Conference. And the last question that ended this conference, I believe, is something every investor should know. And the analyst pretty much asked Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, what is something that you worry about in the market? And Jensen Huang gave a pretty amazing answer. He mentions that first, he's happy because his company works with every AI company in the world. But unfortunately, because they work with every AI company in the world, it comes with enormous responsibility, and they have a lot of people on their shoulders, and everybody is counting on them, and demand is so great that the delivery of their components and their technology and infrastructure and software is really emotional for people because it directly affects their revenue. It directly affects their competitiveness. And so they probably have more emotional customers today than ever before. And I think that just showcases how strong NVIDIA's AI chips are. For the CEO mentioned that, hey, look, and I don't know what emotional is. Does Jensen Huang get random text message in the middle of the night like, hey, look, any way you can send me some AI chips right now? Hey, you awake? Can I get some AI chips? Or are CEOs crying and begging on the phone for AI chips? I would love to hear some of these CEOs and their discussions when Jensen enters the room. But overall, it kind of just showcases, when was the last time you ever heard that big tech, he didn't mention big tech, but that customers, and obviously the customers are big CEOs, have been emotional about a product ever before. And to me, that just solidifies that NVIDIA is the greatest company out right now. Now, some other things that he mentions is, look, Blackwell is shipping out in Q4 and is obviously going to start scaling into next year. And everybody wants to be the first. Everybody wants to be the most. And so the intensity is really quite extraordinary. And I mean, it's pretty much true, right? Because to kind of develop the best AI solution right now, you need the best AI computational power. So if you want to make sure you keep your lead in this space, you're going to want to be the first, having the biggest, the first, and the most NVIDIA GPUs in general, because it's going to make sure that you get the most AI revenue. It's going to make sure that you become the strongest AI company. So we can definitely understand why CEOs are emotional right now. And Jensen pretty much just mentions that right now it's pretty fun inventing the next computer era. It's fun to see all these amazing applications being created, like robots walking around, digital agents coming together as a team, and the world of AI just continues to evolve. So I thought this was pretty cool, and I thought investors should know about it because, again, it just showcases how crazy the AI market is right now. Now, my final thoughts, a lot of bullish news for Nvidia. Again, this does not mean that the stock price will rise up tomorrow or it will moon. The last thing I want to do is kind of say, hey, look, Nvidia is going to be a $10 trillion company in the next month. No, what I'm doing here is just building my evidence folder, my evidence case, and confirming the thesis that I have on Nvidia being a great player, an important player in the AI space, and that the demand continues to be strong. So every day I find more and more evidence to confirm my thesis. Now, we also talked about TSMC, and that continues to show a healthy demand for chips, which can be bullish for the overall market. That supercluster by Oracle is insane. And if Oracle is building a supercluster like that, what's going to stop Microsoft, AWS, Google to build clusters like this? Because as we saw, Oracle flexed its muscles against its competitors. The bearish rumors, like I talked about, to me is more of a nothing burger, but something we'll keep covering. And finally, Nvidia's CEO discussion about emotional customers is just something I had to share because it's something that we don't really hear about as investors, and I think it's pretty important that we get all the information. Now, Nvidia stock in the low 100s, near 90s is my preferred buy point at dollar cost averaging. Anything over that is something that I'm willing to be patient on, but maybe that's just me being biased because I did enter in Nvidia at very, very low levels and it's already my number one position. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.